Get rid of him.
I know that's what you
All
wanted,
right.
but it's
So-
fair to have the rookie in the draft.
So this is the live Football to the Max Fantasy Football League draft podcast. Gary will be joining us whenever he's done eating dinner or whatever it is that he's doing right now. But of course, I am your host of this fine podcast, Sean Garmer, and with me is the two guys from the Fantasy Football to the Max podcast, and of course, Randy also part of this podcast as well. So these guys are here to give you fantasy analysis while we do our own draft. And I'll just be kind of guiding them along right now. We have Mr. Anthony Rue, the Eagles fan, who's been on the podcast several times. He is in the number one slot. Of course, Mike, you were the only one that this is a keeper league. So if for some reason you don't know what that is, that means that you have your team from last year and you get to pick two or possibly three guys that I saw Randy try to cheat and pick three. I had to take one away.
Well, there were no instructions on there. Just said
I
keeper,
said
so.
two to like 5 different people that had asked. Oh dang, Anthony already taking Ezekiel Elliott with that first pick in technically the third round.
I don't know. Is that a big surprise, though?
Not really, I guess.
I mean, I think that was probably going to be the guy. And like I said, since I am new, I kind of inherited Antonio Brown from the previous player who quit. And I did not take Elliott, one, because I don't like him as much as I like Lamar Miller, and two, because he is a rookie and it should be fair for everybody to get a shot at him.
Fair enough. So we already had somebody else take AJ Green, who I think that was Mr. David Martell, and now we have the person that's drafting right now. You have a Le'Veon Bell, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen out there, Mark Ingram. Anybody that you guys are...
Only one of those names that you brought up is first round talent in a lot of drafts. I always avoid him, but Le'Veon Bell is the one that jumps out of the names that you just mentioned.
Yeah, you just have to worry about the first 3 games when he's out, but there's no questioning his ability. Des Bryant goes off the board.
Good, get rid of all those damn Cowboys.
And
Des Bryant goes ahead of Le'Veon Bell and Mark Ingram and Mike Evans, which makes reasonable sense.
I'm sure Le'Veon Bell's probably going to get passed over by some people because of the suspension.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the logic there.
So, I mean, in the third round, what are you guys kind of looking for, yourselves? Do you have a strategy, sort of?
Go ahead, Randy. I'll let you answer first.
Well, I was just going to say it kind of depends on what your need is after your first 2 rounds. My 2 keepers were wide receivers, so I am targeting running backs for sure. But basically, your first 4 picks, in my opinion, are best come, best serve. I don't really worry about positions early on, and I kind of fill the rest of the team out as it goes. Obviously, I'm not going out and getting 4 wide receivers or 4 running backs, but you're just going after the top talent available early on, and then you fill out your team as it goes along.
I agree. The only time you have to pay attention sometimes is when there's runs of guys, because that usually means that somebody big got passed over. So, that kind of falls in line with the talent thing. Oh. When 10 running backs in a row go, there's probably a stud wide receiver sitting there for you.
Yeah, and Gary actually just drafted. Hopefully he joins us pretty soon. He drafted Eddie Lacy. And now, Randy, you are on the clock.
Yeah, Gary needs to get his ass in here so I can cuss him out, because that was my pick right off the bat. 'Cause I need running backs, and he took the one I wanted.
I hate when that happens.
Okay. Who is the best on the board? I hate Mark Ingram. I hate Devontae Freeman. I guess I'm stuck with C.J. Anderson. I'm going to go with C.J. Anderson with my pick.
So you had Julio Jones, and who else is your keepers? I forgot.
Allen Robinson.
Anderson, okay. I have Adrian Peterson and Brandon Marshall as mine, so...
Interesting. You don't like Mark Ingram, huh?
Not really. Not in that
Uh,
offense.
well, and it's understandable just based on the fact that they're going to be playing from behind a lot, but he's a reasonable receiver out of the backfield, so I am going to take Mark Ingram to go with Lamar Miller.
Now I am drafting and some nice receivers here, but I'm going to go with the one guy that I feel like you can really trust on the Bears here, Alshon Jeffrey.
When healthy.
If he's on the field, he's top 10 talent. There's no arguing that.
And now Robert is drafting, Mr. Robert Hagan, that you hear on the podcast sometimes as well, talking about those Ravens. We're kind of all bunched together, so like the whole people that are on the podcast all draft 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then everybody else is kind of after that. We do have 2 auto drafters, it looks like, as I made it clear to everybody the draft was tonight, but even a person that answered apparently is not making it here. So.
And they could be technically challenged, too.
I just want to share a quick story. So we had our main draft here that myself and Mike are in, and I got to see a fun, weird occurrence as Mike was unable to make it in person to the draft, so he had somebody there for him and Skype the whole time, and that was Robert. So a Steeler and a Raven worked well together for about 5 hours. It was interesting to see.
Yeah, I had to give him a little bit of guff about the whole Ravens backfield since I was pretty low on them in the podcast because I felt like it was a mess, and it's kind of proven itself out to be that mess at this point, but who knows? We'll see what happens. It looks like Forsett may be coming back to the team, so that's an interesting twist, which they kind of said that might happen anyway, but now you're back to where we all thought we were before they let him go, which is who do you like in that backfield, and how many of them do you have to draft before you get the right one?
Mm-hmm. Nice run of running or wide receivers we had right there.
And now we've actually gone through round 3, so now we're in round 4. Mr. Steven Randall, who I think he's made one appearance on the podcast before, is drafting, and then it's going to come back to us.
Yeah, and just a quick update. Devontae Freeman, Jordy Nelson, Mike Evans, Keenan Allen, Brandon Cooks, and Doug Martin were the last guys off the board. In that order.
Still got T.Y. Hilton and Amari Cooper out there. Jamal Charles out there. I mean, so are y'all on the Jamal Charles sort of board, or you worried about him too much getting hurt?
Well, if this helps, I took Spencer Ware in our other draft.
Yeah, especially the news coming out that Charles might miss the first week and, still is not back to 100% going into the year. It definitely makes you kind of pause about how well he's going to stay healthy and how they're going to use him, because Kansas City doesn't care about fantasy numbers. They care about winning. They're a team that could really go on a run here, and make a playoff push. So they're going to take it easy with Jamal Charles all season long. They want him there in January, and they're going to use him sparingly throughout the season, only when needed.
By the way, Amari Cooper and T.Y. Hilton just came off.
Oof, damn. I was going to go for one of those. Both of them came off. Let's see. Where do I want to go here with this? I might think about running back. But you got like Jeremy Hill and Jamal Charles. Hey, Robert is calling. What's up, Robert?
What's going on there, gents?
I'm just making fun of your draft so far.
Now, come on, I got T.Y. Hilton, and I did draft awful well with that Steeler fan that couldn't make the draft yesterday.
Yeah, we brought that up. We got along for the most part, except when I gave you some crap. It is my pick.
I just took Jamal Charles. So.
I have Carlos Hyde, Thomas Rawls, Eric Decker listed directly in front of me. Looking down the board a little bit. Is there someone I like better? This might be one of those weird situations where I have 3 out of my first 4 picks being running backs. Decisions.
I like this decision because I know he's not going to take the guy I'm going to take. So choose away, sir.
Yeah, I'm going to go in that direction.
And that direction was Carlos Hyde.
It was Carlos Hyde. I didn't want...
So
I think Rawls has a chance to lose that job in Seattle, so I don't mind you going with Carlos Hyde there. Yes, he's the only talented person on that team, it seems like, and he'll be down a lot, but he is a good running back. I'm going to go with the guy that I am very high on. I think he's been dropping down through drafts a lot, and getting him in the 4th round, even though the first 2 were mostly keepers, I have zero problem with. And that's Jeremy Hill, who I really think is finally going to get things going. So I have a...
He was my other mix.
Yeah, I have a You Betcha challenge with Mike about this guy, and I have to stand by him. So Jeremy Hill, coming to my team.
That's not a bad pick. I actually like him better than Rawls. But a lot of that is based on Rawls being so banged up.
Okay, I have to chime in. Why does the first pencil closer hate a snake format? Doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make any sense to me either. Every draft I've ever done is snake, and it makes no sense to have it go straight down so the other person has to wait always 12 picks to get there.
Well, maybe it's, being on one end or the other. He's got to wait like 24 or 25 picks.
The only way I can see a non-snake format is if you have a dynasty league where you can keep far more of your team, and it's based off of where they got drafted, where you keep them. So, most of the draft is already pre-selected, and then you just go in order from worst record to best. In a league that you've done for a decade or so, and the guys are there, I can see a non-snake format. I love auction drafts myself, but if you're going to do a draft like this, there's almost no other way than snake.
Yeah, I've never thought of just like, hey, this rewards anybody who doesn't matter where you're picking. At some point, at least you get some kind of advantage for being 12th, instead of you're always penalized for it. This isn't like the NFL draft.
Yeah, Gary gets Drew Brees off the board.
Well, and you have to be fair too. Also, Michael Floyd just went. You also have to be fair too when you consider the guy who gets that first pick. Giving him the 1st and 13th pick is way more valuable than somebody who gets the 12th and 24th. Mm-hmm. So at least the guy in last gets a 12th and 13th to kind of balance it out a little bit.
Yeah, this keeper format we have going on is a little interesting too, because I just went and looked, and it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 quarterbacks kept in the first 2 rounds, so a lot more quarterbacks are already off the board here into the 4th round than most drafts will be. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see how it all breaks down.
Yeah, but most of those you're looking at is, some of the top guys. I almost kept Romo until he got hurt, so I had to change that, and I kept Marshall instead.
Well, if you would have, I would have made fun of you because in our keeper format, you take it, you lose your first 2 picks. Tony Romo is not someone you worry about a top 2 pick being.
That's true. But, it is nice to not have to worry about your quarterback later or whatever. Then
Eric Decker, Thomas Rawls, and Tavon Austin go in the 46th, 47th, and 48th picks.
you still got Jordan Reed up there.
What do you think about Michael Floyd going 45th? Anybody got an opinion on that?
He could wind up being their number one guy this year. We don't know if you'd imagine at some point Fitzgerald has to sort of start kind of falling off, but he was kind of Palmer's sort of favorite target at times for big plays.
And how about Tavon Austin going 48th?
Yeah, I don't like that pick at all. I think out of these ones that have happened lately, that's the one that just has me kind of scratching my head.
I saved that one for last.
Yeah, there's far better wide receivers out there. Yes, the Rams are going to be trailing a lot, and he is the main guy, but I don't think he has the talent to put a team on his back. He's not a DeAndre Hopkins by any means. He has a lot of speed, but he has nobody throwing the ball either, so I'm not a big fan of that pick.
He's basically Percy Harvin.
He's a boomer bust kind of guy. He almost reminds me of Ted Ginn as far as the production you'll see out of him. Now, he might have better hands, because who doesn't? But it's one of those guys where he could go for 1 reception and 8 yards 1 week and 150 yards and 2 touchdowns the next week. So it's definitely a boomer bust. But I agree. I think if you wanted him, you could have found him later.
Oof, Ole Miss 14-3. Looks like this top 25 might get even crazier that we have to do.
I love,
I'm
love
shocked.
the fact that teams are playing tougher competition right off the bat. And we get amazing games out of it. This week has been so much fun as a football fan.
So you think it definitely lived up to the hype of the best week 1 ever?
Well, yesterday was easily the best opening week game I've seen in a long time.
Oh, yeah. That was amazing.
That game was great.
Just an update real quick. LeGarrette Blount went 49th.
And they scored again, 20-3. Sorry.
Wow. LeGarrette Blount went 49th. I don't know about that. Matt Forte went 50th. Jarvis Landry went 51st. And Carson Palmer went 52nd.
I'm shocked. I'm also shocked on that Blunt pick. Even with New England and everything going on with Dion Lewis and LeGarrette Blount, that's kind of a reach there at the 49th pick.
Yeah, I like his he's kind of a little bit of a, if you could call him one, a little bit of a sleeper this year in a lot of drafts because of Dion Lewis being down. But Tavon Austin and LeGarrette Blount back-to-back at the 48th and 49th picks. Not sure if I like it, but you never know. And everybody gets to run their own team the way they want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now it's my pick.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say real quick that it's my pick, and I usually don't do this. I usually don't get away from running backs and wide receivers so quickly. But Jordan Reed has kind of fallen into my lap here at this position. I'm pretty balanced, 2 wide receivers and 2 running backs right now. I love Jordan Reed on that Washington offense. So I'm going to go ahead and just take him here.
Don't blame you.
Pick. And I have a few guys to choose from, too. I would prefer to take a wide receiver in this position, since I only have one, but I do have the one that I would have wanted out of all of them in Antonio Brown. And my options here are, at least at the top of this board, are Dante Moncrief, Doug Baldwin, Golden Tate, Jordan Matthews. Baldwin also feels a little bit like a boomer bust, and I'm not 100% sure that he didn't play a little bit over his head last season. And
in the last 2 years, he's been pretty good, though.
Yeah, but I've had a good feeling about this guy, and I drafted him in my other league too, and I'm going to go with Golden Tate.
Why you
Yeah,
got
another
this,
one of those
feeling with Golden Tate?
Well, because he's moving up to the number one, and I think that offense is now going to be built to take advantage of him more. He's not going to have to play the slot this year. He's going to be moved back to the outside where he can actually create more opportunities. So I like that. I think they're going to have to play from behind a lot, meaning they're going to have to throw a lot.
Nice Greg Olsen pick there by Sean. But I agree with the Golden Tate analysis. I think, and it's very weird to say, but I think Detroit got better offensively losing Calvin Johnson. Because I think now they're going to be more balanced. It's not just throw the ball to Calvin Johnson and that's it. I think they're going to try to get the running game involved a bit more. Now they have, with Sanu and Tate there, they're going to have other options out there. It's not just throw the ball deep to Calvin Johnson every third play. So I think the offensive game plan is going to be better, and it's going to help players like a Stafford and a Tate.
Well, that was a great pick there, Sean, because I had, and also with Mike, because I had Tate Olsen queued up thinking that was where I was going to do. So I'm like Mike. I like Baldwin. I also like Jordan Matthews. I already picked up T.Y. Hilton, so I am going to take a chance, and we're going to go ahead and go with the double dip.
Doug Baldwin is the choice, followed instantly by Melvin Gordon. Another one of those guys who we'll see what happens with.
Melvin Gordon. He'll score a touchdown this year.
I think he'll score 3, but only because 2.5 wasn't an option.
I like the chance of maybe 4 touchdowns total.
Yeah, I mean, he might break a screen pass or something. Who knows?
There is a name on this draft board that I want all 3 of you to avoid like the plague. Let him fall to me, please.
Dante Moncrief, Jonathan Stewart, Jeremy Langford, and Ryan Matthews just came off.
Robert, you're next out of our group. Who are you looking at? As Fitzgerald goes, now you're up. Well, I've got 3 decent receivers, with T.Y. Hilton, Doug Baldwin, Randall Cobb. I've got the double dip with Russell Wilson. Devontae Freeman, I think I'm leaning a little bit more towards running back right now. We talked about yesterday, and we talked about the draft that I was helped with yesterday, and you look at our pick right now, the 68th highest guy there with Arian Foster. I don't think he's the guy to go be looking at. So I'm leaning.
Don't fall over.
I know. And I talked with Mike so much about breakout, and I think this guy, and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna pull the trigger, and this guy I think is gonna have a great year, and that's gonna be Colby Fleener.
Yeah, he definitely has some potential.
Yeah.
I think moving him, getting him in New Orleans with Drew Brees, I think that is going to help out, not only just in the New Orleans, but you look at Andrew Luck and the connection he's made now with Dwayne Allen.
Well, I don't usually like having 2 guys of sort of similar positions, but I think you kind of can't pass up.
Oh, you took Kelvin Benjamin. Good.
Yeah.
Well, I have 2 receivers that I like. I have Lamar Miller, Mark Ingram, Carlos Hyde at running back, but there's one more running back there that I really like, and he's kind of getting passed up here, and Randy's probably going to scream at me because he knows who it is, and there he goes. Was that your guy, Randy?
Yep, absolutely.
Frank Gore
I am so high on
choice.
Frank Gore this year. I absolutely love him. The offensive line still doesn't look like it's that great, but Frank Gore looks healthy.
Well, and not only that, he's a good receiver out of the backfield and having luck back too. And now I really like my running backs a lot.
Absolutely. Damn it. Okay. Well, new game plan.
I'll see if you take my other choice because I didn't think Gore was going to make it to me, but there is another guy there that I was leaning.
Yeah, because I'm kind of in the same boat. I love my wide receivers. The running backs are a little questionable. I'm not huge on C.J. Anderson, but it was just kind of what was left since Eddie Lacy didn't fall to me like I was hoping. So at this point, I think taking a risk is okay, especially if I can fix it on the bench just in case. So I'm going to go with Arian Foster here.
That's what I thought, yeah.
Yeah, he could definitely just break down and get hurt, but the talent is definitely there if he can stay healthy. And I just have to make sure I have the depth on the team to cover injuries.
I don't know if he could get hurt. It's a matter of when he gets hurt. But while he's on the field, he's definitely a stud.
All right. Well, one of the auto drafters might wind up getting in the draft here in a second. He apparently got locked out of his Yahoo account, and I had to go transfer his team to another email. So, gotta love... that's the only thing that sucks about Yahoo sometimes. If it's an email you never use, and you just have it for something like this, and then you forget the password.
So he was semi-technically challenged.
Yes.
John Brown went. That was the other guy I was looking at if Frank Gore went. John Brown went at the 68th pick, and I am actually pretty high on John Brown. I know that there's a lot of arguments as to which one of that three-headed monster in the receiving core is the best between Fitzgerald, John Brown, and Michael Floyd. Personally, I liked John Brown, and I probably would have taken him instead of Frank Gore if Frank Gore wasn't still there.
What do you guys think of this next pick? The 69th pick was Jason Witten. A little high for Witten?
I think it is, considering that he's a little long in the tooth, and Romo's not going to be there, which might actually help him a little bit, possibly. But I think there's better guys to choose from, but it could be a Cowboy fan.
Who drafted him?
DA's dazzling team?
No, that is not. He is a Titans fan, actually. That's
I just realized SLP kept the Seattle defense.
He's a Seattle fan. So.
I understand, but as your second pick.
Well, if he didn't take him with his second pick, I wasn't going to.
Now, I want to go back and look. It won't let me look at the history right now, but if he kept the Seattle defense and dropped an Antonio Brown, I'm going to laugh.
Well, should I... I'll ask Sean for his address so I can send him a thank you card.
Well, thank you. I'll appreciate those cards. Okay.
Boston Jackalopes joined.
All right.
By the way, Travis Kelce, Giovanni Bernard, and Antonio Gates just came off in 70th, 71st, and 72nd, respectively.
Way too early for a tight end run, I think.
Yeah, the Boston Jackalopes is Robert Cooper. He's probably not going to be happy I took all of his Panthers.
Carson Wentz just got drafted.
Carson? What? That's got to be Anthony, right? That's got to be the guy that has the first pick?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. He is the starting QB now.
Let's all take a moment of silence for Anthony's fantasy team this year. Okay,
watch Randy do that, and then Carson Wentz goes out there and has a kick-ass year.
And so does Tavon Austin and LeGarrette Blount.
Carson Wentz has a better chance than LeGarrette Blount or Tavon Austin. He's the quarterback. He has a lot of things in his hands as far as, he controls who he passes it to. He controls a lot of things for that team.
That is true, but I got to admit, I didn't have Carson Wentz in my quarterback view, so I appreciate it.
Carson Wentz would not have been someone I even thought about taking. That might have been a guy I'm sitting here thinking, okay, waiver wire, maybe for a bye week.
Alan Hearns and Tom Brady just came off, and to let you guys know, I was eyeballing Tom Brady.
What's up, Gary?
Hey, what's going on?
Better late than never. I'm joking.
Hey,
That's
hey,
right.
Gary.
Mm-hmm.
You're an ass for your first pick being Eddie Lacy.
I thought of you when I picked him, and I said, "Yeah, he's gonna hate this. I'm gonna do."
I feel better getting that off my chest.
I knew you would. I knew you would.
Looks like Ole Miss just wants to make it really hard on us tonight.
Ooh,
That's
somebody already wanting to trade Elliott. Guess that guy should have been online to draft, huh?
An Eagles fan taking a Cowboy. I don't know, man.
Well, that was an
Right.
auto pick. So
Why did that auto pick? Was this a keeper league all of a sudden?
It's been a keeper league.
I don't know. I've not known that.
I had to pick your keepers for you.
You didn't. Why did you pick him? Tell me. You should have said, "Hey, man, you need to."
I couldn't.
pick some
It
keepers."
passed the deadline, and it said in order for me to make the keepers go through so we can draft, I had to just pick some.
You could have called me. You got my number.
Come on,
I
Gary,
couldn't
just
call
suck it
you.
up.
Hey, he doesn't know my number or my Skype or my email.
It says
He
the
wanted
commissioner
to
had to
win
do
the
it.
league.
It passed the deadline, and I could not let you do it and then not let everybody else do it. There was about
Come
6,
on.
7 people that didn't.
Well, you should have contacted each of them, and then if I responded, then I responded.
That's why I didn't do it. If it was only you, Gary, I would have called you, obviously. But there was plenty of people that
You could have
apparently
emailed me and emailed them as well. It would have been even playing field. Just saying, it's not always black and white. There is some gray area there.
Tyler Lockett just came off the field, or off the draft board, at 76th. Welcome aboard, Gary.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Mike, I am so glad to finally be in here. And I am going to do something that may be bad, but good. And I'm going to do Walker here.
Delaney Walker at the 77th spot. And Randy is on the clock.
and Randy doesn't know what to do.
Well, you know.
Let's see. I'm trying to figure out if I want to gamble or if I just want to be crazy.
Crazy's always good.
It can be, but I'm afraid. So I'm going to go with a more safe pick here. I'm going to go with the guy that I've liked for many, many years. I like his situation on his new team. And I'm taking Chris Ivory, again, kind of as the, just in case Foster completely blows up like we all think he's going to. Ivory as the goal line for Jacksonville is very intriguing.
You know how much I love Ivory. I am a big fan of Ivory, and I think that's not a bad pick at all.
All right, and that puts me on the clock, and I need to get another receiver in here somewhere. My choices off the top here are Jordan Matthews, Marvin Jones, and Emmanuel Sanders. I can scratch Marvin Jones since I already have Golden Tate. Also Deshaun Jackson, Michael Crabtree, Sterling Shepard. I'm going to lean towards Jordan Matthews, but I don't like it a lot based on who the quarterback is, but I think he's probably got as much or more value than the guys that are sitting behind him on this list. So I will take Jordan Matthews.
All right. Let's see what I want to do here with this pick. Got all of my. Oh, okay. Got this conundrum again. I've had this conundrum about like 4 or 5 different times in drafts.
Share us your conundrum, sir.
And I've taken Eli Manning almost every time. Eli Manning or Phillip Rivers?
Eli Manning? I feel bad.
He could be actually. You got Victor Cruz back finally.
If I like
Sterling
interceptions.
Shepard and
Interceptions cost far less than touchdowns.
There is better picks on this list already than Eli Manning.
I agree. Eli's going to be on his back most of the time, so I don't know
Yes.
how he's going to throw from his back.
He's going to throw 42 touchdowns, people.
With Kirk Cousins alongside him.
He was convinced to take Phillip Rivers after all of that discussion.
Disappointed, Sean.
Of being negative.
He has better receivers. He's got Travis Benjamin with him, and Benjamin's going to catch some
Hold
big
on.
passes.
Wait. Travis Benjamin is better than Odell Beckham and Victor Cruz?
Victor Cruz has not proven
Shepard.
anything in years. So Victor Cruz, we will wait and see. Sterling Shepard, maybe. But just like Dotson, you were picking Kirk Cousins or Eli Manning in the same spot, and I'd go Cousins all the way.
Well, he does have better receivers than both the Chargers and Giants as a core. But,
And when is he not on the board?
He's way down there, I think. He's down there behind Tyrod Taylor.
Yahoo does not know football, apparently. Okay.
Well, I would say Blake Bortles is better than Kirk Cousins.
You never know. It's like, is that record a one-hit wonder, or is it real?
Well, that's the same thing with Kirk Cousins.
We are in round 7, by the way, for those of you who are wondering.
I'm glad nobody's taken a kicker yet, I think. Maybe
I was waiting for Robert to do it.
Don't give it away.
I've been back and forth between a couple of running backs. I needed a running back, but I'm going to go with the starter. As much as I dislike the Giants and how they're looking, especially offensive line, but I need a guy that's going to start all the time, so I'm going to go ahead and pick up Jennings right now.
Rashad Jennings for Robert, followed by D'Angelo Williams, 82nd, and the previously discussed Eli Manning at 83rd. And just to let you guys know, if Eli Manning would have come back to me with the 90th pick, I would have taken him.
Oh.
I'm telling you guys.
You go for it. Go for it. I've had Eli Manning on lots of fantasy teams, and every year I never made the playoffs with him.
42 touchdowns this year, Gary.
I'll put it on the board.
Oh my God!
It's on the board.
This, Gary?
We have a You Betcha challenge on it, Gary.
I may need to do that.
Randy took 40 or more, and I took under 40.
Oh, Mike, you're a smart man.
But that doesn't mean that I don't think he'll still throw around 36 touchdowns.
No, he's going to throw plenty of touchdowns. I'm not arguing that, but he's going to throw 36 touchdowns and 27 interceptions.
That is possible.
He threw 35 touchdowns with one receiver last year. Now he has 3.
Well, let's see if they all stay healthy. It's a game of we'll see. Victor Cruz is
he does have a point about Victor Cruz.
That's fine.
Right.
It's still 2.
And Sterling Shepard isn't proven yet either. He's got hype, but he's not proven.
Well, Robert, what are you doing here with this pick?
Well, I had queued up Derrick Henry. I liked Derrick Henry at that spot. He was the best one there, so now I've got to rethink what I was planning on doing here.
You still got some good receivers here.
Great receivers right there. I mean, do we take a chance with Josh Gordon? I'm not high on him. I don't think he's going to keep his nose clean. I think he's going to be...
I don't know if you take Gordon this high, though.
No.
I think people are sleeping a lot on Marvin Jones. I've heard him and Stafford have a really good connection.
I agree completely with you on that. That Marvin Jones looked... I know it's preseason, but Marvin Jones seemed to have that rapport already with him, and I was a little surprised.
God,
I already had Golden Tate, so...
Which Golden Tate's another good guy. I like these 2 receivers in Detroit. I really do.
You got Emmanuel Sanders there. Deshaun Jackson's there. Got Sterling Shepard. Michael Crabtree. Devontae Parker's there.
Robert going down to the wire here.
I am.
Lots to choose from, though.
Just keep throwing names. Make him confused.
Stephon Diggs.
3,
2, 1. Michael Crabtree is the choice at 88th.
I was sort of thinking about that. I think I'm going to go with the guy I was just talking about here.
Marvin Jones. That's a good choice there. Well, I've got decisions to make. I have 3 receivers. I have 4 running backs. I'm still probably going to wait on quarterback just a little bit longer here, but I am going to take another receiver, I think. And it's a guy that has performed pretty well over the last few seasons. Seems to have developed a rapport with his quarterback, and that would be Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, I was thinking of Deshaun Jackson. That's a great pick right there. So I am going to go with the gamble here. I'm going to live up to the words that I say and say Eli Manning's throwing a bunch of touchdowns, and a lot of them are going to go to that man, Sterling Shepard.
Oh, at least Randy's been consistent.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's a lot of quarterbacks left on that I really like. I was thinking about maybe taking a quarterback here, but looking at the draft board, all 5 people that I have to wait to make 2 picks have taken a quarterback. So I think it's safe for me to wait a little bit.
That was my logic as well.
Now looking at it, Mike and I are the only 2 that have yet to take a quarterback.
And that falls right into the strategy that you and I discussed in the podcast too, which was, unless one of those top tier quarterbacks drop down to, say, what happened for me yesterday in our draft when I got Andrew Luck in round 6, if there's none of them there, then you might as well wait.
Yep.
Well, Gary, well, I was going to say, what were you going to do? But these guys, talk the whole damn time. So,
I'm a believer in Benjamin. And Sean, your quarterback is going to be throwing plenty of touchdowns to this guy, so I'm looking forward to it.
Now Daniel's on the clock we're going backwards, going almost into the 9th round now. Now we're getting into that territory where, I guess, like Randy said, either quarterback or you're filling out your bench. Anybody that you guys are you're saying, okay, this is a good pick to take here?
I would say Tyrod Taylor. If you're looking for a quarterback right now, I've always been high on Tyrod Taylor, not just because he was a Raven, but he, to the point of, showed a lot there last year with Buffalo and kind of commanding the offense. I think another year under his belt was going to do good for Buffalo. So I like Tyrod in this place right now.
You could not have picked a worse quarterback to say right there, Robert.
Oh no, you know how well high I am on Tyrod Taylor.
Well,
I know he was an ex-Raven, but he is a worse version of Matt Stafford and the Detroit Lions. He has 2 moves. He can run, but his one passing attack is a deep ball to Sammy Watkins. That's it. That's all he has. I'm not going to pick him and then wait for him to make that big pass.
He also gets you the rushing yards, though.
The rushing yards was the appeal that I saw in him too. But there's a stack of quarterbacks coming up. You've still got Blake Bortles out there.
Tyrod Taylor, as that
Kirk Cousins, better. Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston. I was going to say, where are you guys thinking on him?
I have him above Tyrod Taylor, but I like a Cousins more. I like a Bortles more. I like the weapons around them. I do like Andy Dalton a bit more this year. He had a great regular season until he got hurt. Obviously his playoff track record is not outstanding, but I like him a lot. Matthew Stafford is another great one, as again, I think that offense got a bit more balance and it's just going to help him. And then Marcus Mariota is one you got to think, does he take a step forward this year? How much junk time are you going to see? Because I don't think that team around him is that great. But there's a lot of quarterbacks out there still.
Emmanuel Sanders and Steve Smith Sr. just went off the board at 93 and 94.
As we are in a wide receiver run. What is that? 6 straight?
It is 7.
So what do you guys land on Devontae Parker? I think he has lots of potential, but he's just you just don't know. You just really don't.
If he was healthy, I like him a lot. Hamstring issues, especially with wide receivers, just scare me off of him.
Yeah, I agree about the hamstring, but I also think Miami's going to be playing from behind quite a bit too. So, if he does manage to get healthy, there could be some value there from a team that's playing from behind a lot.
Yeah, I believe it's a buddy of mine that that says the same thing about Alshon Jeffrey. He won't draft Jeffrey anymore because he's so scared of the healthy scratches. He's going to play, and he goes out on the field, and all he is a decoy. And that's what you kind of worry about. Is like they're healthy enough to be out there and get the attention, but they're not healthy enough to make any cuts. And you put them out there thinking they can, and they're going to get you the big goose egg.
Yeah, definitely.
Danny Woodhead selected 95th.
So that's 8 straight receivers. I don't care if it says running back. He's a receiver for the Chargers.
Very true.
That's very close to true.
So here we are. I mean, Josh Gordon's still on the board. I guess no one's interested in suspensions.
I think there's some interest, but yeah, how early do you want to take that guy? That's the thing. I mean, you're going to have to stash him for one.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is can you trust him? That's the biggest thing.
If suspensions counted, would be okay.
Yeah, I do love the fact that we had that 4-1-1 draft last night that I wasn't able to attend to because I was heading back from another draft out of town. And I went and looked at my team, and the auto draft decided suspensions don't matter because I have Tom Brady and Josh Gordon on that team.
I don't even know if anybody drafted that league.
4, watch out.
Yep, you'll be kicking some tail, huh? Oh, man. I don't even know if anybody live drafted that league. So here we are, still trying to figure out. Stephon Diggs is another guy I love, but man, it's just the quarterback situation and Sam Bradford. Can he do it?
James Starks, Jimmy Graham going back to back there to who was it? Who is it?
Philip Ant, yeah.
So your handcuff's gone, Gary. How do you feel about that?
It's fine with me. I'm down with my handcuff being gone. I hopefully will find some other handcuffs in this. And even if I'm stealing from other people's handcuffs, which I'm happy with at times.
Well, and he went to the team that Randy has already decided is dead. DOA.
Well, yeah, there's always a possibility of making trades too, so you never know.
And he does have Ezekiel Elliott. Maybe he can package one of his other 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th round picks with Ezekiel Elliott and get a couple guys in return.
I know you guys are really low on Ezekiel Elliott, so this is going to be fun.
I'm not really low on him, and for a keeper league, I think he has a little bit more value because he's a rookie. So there's definitely some upside to him for a keeper league. So that's something to consider too. There is a little bit of a different dynamic here.
That is true. It's sink or swim sometimes with these rookies because you just don't know what they're going to end up being, and he's one of them. I can't deny that. I mean, he could be everything he's advertised to be, and he could come in and not be injury prone, things like that.
He wouldn't be the first guy that's had issues coming out of the gate after being highly touted.
Oh, Willis McGahee.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Julius Thomas comes off the board at 98th, followed by Amir Abdullah.
Wow, I just realized that Christopher, the first pencil closer team, that was his first running back off the board. Was Amir Abdullah. He's going to 0 running back strategy, which actually, if you look at the rest of his team is pretty stacked everywhere else. As he has Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady. He has Odell Beckham, Des Bryant, Landry, and Steve Smith at the wide receiver position, and Eric Decker, and Kelsey is his tight end. So everything else is stacked, but he's got to figure out some running backs quick.
Well, Gary, what are you thinking with this pick here?
I'm trying to think how much do I want people to hate me, and I think I want people to hate me a lot. So,
going with the backup quarterback,
Blake Bortles. That's a good pick, Gary, because to let you know right now, I was going to take Blake Bortles.
I knew some people out there were going to, and I wanted to kind of keep that in check. Even though I have hurt myself in one position so far, and that's running back. I've only got 3.
Actually, I was still debating because, again, how late do people start taking backup quarterbacks, which is weird to me when a lot of these guys that have quarterbacks have solid quarterbacks. So I was trying to wait. Bortles was probably the top guy on my list as well, but you taking Bortles kind of forces my hand here to go ahead and grab a quarterback before everyone else starts going, okay, it's time for backups, and I get left with nobody. So I am going with probably the best quarterback that I think is off the board and will give me the double dip. I'm going Kirk Cousins.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, I figured you would.
See, and I, of course, already had a quarterback going into this, Drew Brees, but, he's older. And it's a situation where these older quarterbacks are getting hurt, and I've got to have a solid backup.
Good Lord. I'm glad I already put Ohio State at number 3 because Ole Miss 28-6 right now.
I am also going for the double dip at quarterback with the guy that I think is going to have a great year. And that would be Matthew Stafford.
Okay, let me see. I love that Yahoo tells you in big capital letters, your turn on the tab, so that you know it's your turn, in case you didn't hear the noise. Let's see. Probably need to go running back here, but I'm not touching Matt Jones with a 10-foot pole. Sorry, I almost think I hate saying early bust, but I feel like Matt Jones is almost in that category. Shoot. After him, though, you start getting into the you're drafting the backup running backs now, so that's an issue too. You could still do some stuff. Let's go with Duke Johnson.
By the way, Josh Gordon went with the 100th pick, followed by Bortles, Cousins, Stafford, a little run of QBs, and then Sean just took Duke Johnson, followed by Stephon Diggs for Robert. Now Vincent Jackson, the 106th pick.
Oh, there it is. The first kicker off the board.
Steven Gostkowski at 107, folks.
At least you picked a good kicker.
Well, I will say he is in an auto draft, so they like to take that kicker early and fill up his team. So,
well, and he is the Boston Jackalope, so at least he did get Gostkowski.
No, that was SLP, I think.
Oh, was it? It was SLP. My apologies. Jackalopes is up now.
Oh.
Followed by Graham Gano.
I told you he was going to pick some. He wouldn't end the draft without picking one Panther.
All right, kicker run. Let's see how long it goes for.
I think it ends here as he gets to pick again. So
I don't think he's going to pick double dip kickers. You got to have that bye week kicker ahead of time.
I did see someone do that in a draft I had. They ended up picking 2 kickers.
So, Robert, you're up first out of all of us. Where are you looking here as you are 4 picks away?
Well, I think I am going to go ahead. I said it. I'm high on the guy. I think I'm going to go Taylor. That's just the way I feel. I'm like Sean, not touching Matt Jones at all. I know I need a running back.
Lots of running backs.
There's a couple, couple that are a little farther down. I think we'll slip till I can get there. So, not sure. I like the Duke Johnson pick. I'm not sure who the main guy is going to be in Cleveland with Isaiah Crowell and Duke Johnson. So.
Danny Amendola ends the 2-kicker run at the 109th spot, followed by Matt Jones, the aforementioned questionable one, at 110, which is pretty late for a starting running back, really, even if it is a guy that's questionable. Andy Dalton just came off, which takes my second quarterback off the board.
That's who you wanted?
That's what I was looking at. And then Tyrod Taylor by Rock, as predicted.
Oof.
We've still got guys like Jameis Winston. That's a good pick. That was the other guy I was going to take. So now I have
him and Marcus Mariota.
I have to make the decision. Do I want a Marcus Mariota?
Got Matt Ryan down there.
Well, there's one other guy here that people have kind of overlooked that I am looking at taking in this situation that I think I like better. And I think that's probably who I'm going to take as my second quarterback to go with Matthew Stafford. And that would be Derek Carr.
It's a nice pick. I'm going to wait on my backup quarterback at this point. I think there's a guy that's been dropping down the list a little bit, has kind of lost favor, but is one of those sleepers that I really like. And that's Devin Funchess, and that's what I'm going to take here. I really think that he could end up being the top guy in Carolina. Benjamin has the most talent, but is still getting accumulated and not 100% sure he's going to be the same player or even stay healthy. And that Carolina offense is great.
I would disagree. How many guys have we seen come back from ACLs like it's nothing now? So I wouldn't worry about that too much.
We'll see. But even then, I have the number 2 on one of the best offenses in the league. So
I don't know. Ted Ginn, technically, I think is number 2.
Ted Ginn is awful.
Well, still doesn't take away the fact that he's technically number 2.
Well, that's great. You can be number 2. He could also be number 9 in the stat column.
Well, Gary?
So Randy put me in a predicament here because I was thinking Funches as well. So I'm going to go with another guy, not really sold on his ability, not sold on everything, but I kind of like the potential. So I'm going to try it. You never know. I'm going to go with Corey Coleman here.
Definitely has potential, and I like him better than Terrell Pryor, to be honest with you.
How far down is Terrell Pryor?
Oh, probably way down. I like Pryor as a red zone, but just kind of that see what happens with him and RG3, that kind of connection. I do like Coleman better as well.
By the way, Denver defense just came off after Coleman at 117.
I mean, if you're going to take a defense.
I was wondering how long it was going to take before a defense went off.
That's the second one. We had one kept, and then I saw Carolina went off the board a little while ago.
That is correct. Yeah, that'd be the third defense overall. By the way, folks, for those of you who are listening at home, don't keep a defense with one of your first 2 picks. That's my recommendation.
I'm Randy, and I approve that message.
I think we all approve that message.
Yeah.
I don't know. I might end up having to see if I can find somebody else to take his team that's going to have to deal with Seattle being his defense. Because I forgot that he was sort of wishy-washy as to whether he was going to play this year or not. He gave me the okay, and then I guess decided not. Gotta love those.
Mm-hmm.
Make a commitment, but don't go through with it.
By the way, I'm just throwing it out there for Mike. We're 7 picks until my pick, but I'm going to reach for my pick knowing that I know Mike wants this guy, and he's not going to get it back to me. So, Mike, I'm sorry.
I think I know who it is, and it's somebody that we may have discussed at some point.
Yes.
Oh, man. Sounds like I'll need to listen to that Fantasy Football to the Max podcast to figure out what they were talking about until Randy picks.
That is the secret.
Well, I would reveal the secret, but there's a Gary in our midst, and I can't allow him
Yeah, Gary does pick
to steal him from
before
me.
Randy. So,
Oh, you know me.
yeah, Gary has a history of taking Randy's picks.
I don't appreciate it, Sean, that you put Gary on one side and Mike on the other side of me in this draft.
Yeah. And the thought process also comes down to me and Randy also battle it out when we do our pick'ems and things like that. But when we do ranking teams and also during the draft, remember during the draft I kept taking your guys and you kept taking mine.
I just wonder if Sean decided this draft order by like rolling a D&D dice, a 20-sided die, and then being, nope, that doesn't work. Roll it again. Okay, you're now picking there. Keep rolling until you're picking there.
Oh, that was it. That was the guy. Justin Tucker was the guy I was going to steal from you, Mike. I'm sorry.
Side bets.
Yeah. Man, you knew it. I'm a Longhorns fan, so someone's stolen from me.
By the way, before Justin Tucker at 120 was Kamar Aiken and Isaiah Crowell.
What do you guys think of Aiken this year?
Man. I kind of like him. I don't know about round 10, but I like him.
You don't know if Steve Smith, that's a guy, I know he's coming off the same injury. I just said guys come off at like nothing, but he's also much older. Is he going to be the same guy we saw last year? And can Kamar Aiken, sort of, who did have that number one role while he was out, kind of show that he deserved to have that role again? Because he was damn good last year for having to deal with like having 3 or 4 different quarterbacks at one point.
I think so. Just stepping up into the role, and I think it'll take maybe a little bit of pressure off now that Perriman's going to be there to start too, so maybe it might help take a little pressure off. But I think Kamar Aiken is a great receiver for the Ravens.
Well, and then you got Mike Wallace there, who's been on 3 teams in 3 years. So how much can we expect from him?
I don't expect very much from Wallace. I've been burned by him too many times. He once was a dreamy receiver. You used to think, this guy can do a lot, and then he just comes in like he just not interested in playing football. He's just not that guy.
It's until when he left Pittsburgh.
Yeah, exactly. I loved him when he was in Pittsburgh, and then after that, it's just like, hey,
I will say this, very much like Marvin Jones.
Randy, your guy just went.
He did.
Spencer Ware?
that guy was
Man,
Spencer Ware.
I had him highlighted too, you sons of...
By the way, Willie Snead was the guy I was looking at taking, and he also went, so we can both cry a little bit.
Yeah, Spencer Ware going to most likely be the number one back the first week, and we talked about Jamal Charles earlier in this and worried about his history of injuries, and Ware seems to be the guy that's going to take his place, so I was all for that. Damn it.
Sorry, guys.
I really thought I could wait one more round before I picked him up because Mike wasn't on this side of the draft board, but a very nice pick by Mr. Suplex City.
I mean, I don't know if Robert can confirm this because it's his team, but I had been hearing that Mike Wallace was sort of becoming Joe Flacco's favorite target.
He was a little bit during games 2 and 3, so but I think him and Steve have a good chemistry. But I'm with you, like what Mike says. I mean, Steve is getting older, and we look at the draft that we had yesterday that we were part of, and Kamar Aiken was the main guy that everybody was talking about, other than Steve Smith. I think this is it for Steve. So. It's time for Aiken to make a name for himself now.
Another run of kickers, Dan Bailey.
Yeah, I was going to say, continue this kicker run there, Gary.
Oh, here I go. I'm going to do it now. I think I'm going to go in kind of what we were talking about earlier about running backs and situations where the starter may not be able to last the season. I'm a little bit worried about Rawls. He's had injuries, last year. He's had injuries before he got into this season. I think Christian Michael could do some things and surprise people. That's what I'm going with.
Yeah. I've been hearing that a lot too. That's a very good possibility.
There are two guys that are on this list that I think could get into 50-50 roles on their team at running back. I'm trying to decide if I want one of them. We only have 3 bench spots left, plus the defense and kicker. Kind of debating on maybe taking a defense here. Still a round or two early for me to do that. But I think I'm going to go defense here just so hopefully you guys can make my decision easier on the way back. And one of those two are gone, so I'm going to take the Cardinals defense here. Just because I couldn't decide between the two guys I want.
Fair enough.
Yeah, well, interesting stuff here. I'm looking at potential value at the number 5 receiver spot here. You still got Devontae Parker on the board. I know he's banged up, but we're now at pick 127, and he's still sitting there. So that's a guy that I am considering just for depth, even if he is banged up.
A man from your team, Marcus Wheaton's still there, too.
He is. I'm not as high on Marcus Wheaton, though, because I think that their slot options and Antonio Brown getting 500 targets makes a difference, too.
Well, somebody's got to be their number 2.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's not, but Devontae Parker's a number 1 if he's healthy. And, I mean, I have good receivers already with Brown and Tate, Jackson and Matthews, but why not add one more piece to the puzzle there, possibly? The other thing would be to take a 5th running back and roll with that. And I'm kind of surprised Randy didn't take one of these guys. But
yeah, I don't think I know which guy.
You know, as I look down here, I think I'm going to go with Parker just for the value.
Let's see. What do I want to do here? I think... which one of these running backs is going to do something?
Oh, Jay Ajayi. There he is.
Yeah, he's down there.
Take him.
I feel like you're going me into taking him because you don't like him.
I'm just looking through the ADP. Marshawn Lynch is getting drafted at an average draft pick of 103.9 right now.
He's getting drafted?
Wow.
According to Yahoo. I just sorted ADP by running backs, and Marshawn Lynch is 3rd on my list.
Is there a picture of him climbing up a telephone pole and pulling his cleats off of the wire?
Do you guys, speaking of getting drafted, do you guys even, where do you think, with all his injury history and all that stuff, Tyler Eifert, do you even take him?
If you want to back up tight end.
I usually won't, just because I don't usually go for a backup tight end. There are definitely better options at the tight end position than somebody that is an injury concern right now.
Tyler Eifert's a sad story. I feel so bad. Once again, a potential guy that just can't do anything.
Well, and you're going to be missing him for almost 2/3 of the season. What are they saying? He's out for 8 weeks? Was it, or is it 6 to 8 weeks?
It's like 6 to 8. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's at least half the season, and there's no questioning he's probably a number 1 tight end. He certainly was last season if he's on the field. But can you stash him for that long? That's the problem, is stashing a tight end for half or more of your season.
By the way, Robert with the 129th pick took one of those guys that I was thinking about.
Oh, Bilal Powell. I was thinking about him too. I was just like,
Followed by Chris Sims is another guy that is kind of in that similar Bilal Powell role. Or Charles Sims, I mean.
Well, that gives me the handcuff there with him, so...
Yeah, that's certainly a logical pick. Marcus Mariota just went at
Surprised you didn't go with your man Justin Forsett there, Robert.
Robert,
okay, let's not talk about the backfield right now because I already, we did spend about 15 minutes on that yesterday, Mike, Randy. So we're
and 15 minutes in the podcast as well, where it sounds like you're siding with my viewpoint now. Is that true, Ravens fan?
I am a huge Kenneth Dixon fan. He cannot get back quick enough, But not knowing what their plans are, but Terrence West and Buck Allen splitting time. So Ravens.
I don't know. I mean, Forsett just did sign back with the Ravens, so
right today. Yeah.
We'll see. All right, you can come back around. You can get him on your next pick, Robert.
Not so fast, because there is an auto drafter here.
That is true. So, Robert, what are you thinking about this next pick?
There he is here with the auto draft. See if he takes. Let's see if.
Yep.
And it does.
Auto draft Forsett.
It makes my pick a lot easier. Look at that, back-to-back Ravens going. Mike Wallace going with the 135.
Yeah, we must be in the late rounds.
Ah, damn! I was thinking about Mike Wallace. I know people are like, "What the hell are you thinking right now?" But yeah.
So, what do you guys think about Kevin White? Guys like that. I mean, guys that are unproven.
He's looked really not too good in preseason, like almost lost at times. I mean, certainly he can get it later, but Kansas City defense by Robert.
Yeah.
Not the Baltimore defense?
That's pick 15.
You could take two defenses.
That's what I did in the our 14 team league. That was my last pick, Baltimore defense.
I'm pretty sure Mike is going to take the pick that I want here. Unless Sean takes him.
Let's see. I have to go.
What are you thinking, Sean?
Well, I feel like I got to go running back here because I'm short on them, but man, the pickings are getting slim.
Didn't you just say Ajayi was there for you?
No,
Marshawn Lynch is still out there.
Yeah, I'm going to draft Marshawn Lynch right now.
Did you not draft Ajayi? I mean, he's going to run for 15 touchdowns and, no telling how many thousand yards.
Doesn't.
I'm kidding. I don't think either. They have a quarterback that's going to put them in bad situations.
I know who Randy thinks I'm going to
take him, though. Because Aaron Fox was bound to get hurt.
I know Randy thinks I'm going to take Dwayne Allen. But the problem with Dwayne Allen is I already have Frank Gore. And I do need a tight end at this point. And I'm looking down the list here, and there's a guy that I have been high on who went way too early in our draft yesterday. And sometimes I like to gamble on certain positions, such as a tight end. And this is kind of a gamble, but it's a guy who's playing for a high-powered offense. And if ever he's going to have a good season, Jared Cook, this would be your year with Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback.
I don't disagree with that.
I can't disagree there. Yeah, he's there. I'm just trying to debate if I want him at this point.
Well, I know who you should take.
I'm going to take... Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to leave that guy on the board still. He's probably going to go, but I'm going to be safer here. I'm just going to take the whole Jacksonville backfield just in case there is an injury. I'm going to take TJ Yeldon.
That's who you should take. That's exactly who I thought you should take.
That's where I thought you were going.
No, there's another guy on this board that is behind somebody that I'm not high on, and I really think
I know who you're talking
early
about.
on is going to go more 50-50, but it's also on a team that I don't think it's going to really help him as much. So I'll take the upside of having the entire Jaguars backfield than the guy that I was thinking of.
Yeah, we're getting close to that point where the more we talk about stuff, the less likely we are to get the guy we're talking about.
The one guy that I've got to look at now, I'm trying to think of what I want, and I got to think of a guy that just comes onto the field, just this giant pythons, can rip his jersey open, and everybody's impressed. I gotta go with Hogan here. I'm very impressed with him, brother. Chris Hogan.
He has potential.
I love him in preseason. I think that Tom Brady's going to love him too eventually.
Who else is there at the wide receiver spot besides Amendola and
Edelman?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He has liked them apparently. Yeah, and especially now with Malcolm Mitchell's out for the year, right? Or at least out for a while with that injury he had in preseason. So.
Yeah, he's. I'm not sure how long I thought it was maybe 4 weeks, but I'm not positive.
I'll look that up.
But that's kind of like my Jared Cook pick. It's a high upside, high octane offense pick.
Yeah. I didn't see anybody on here that the name Savage besides the Houston Texans backup quarterback, so I had to go Hogan. And no Warriors either, so. So which one of you guys
liking their team? What? Go ahead, sir.
So which one of you guys got Brock Osweiler? Which one of you lucky gentlemen? No one of you? Yeah. Oh boy. I'm just curious how many people are really liking that guy. You mentioned the Marshawn Lynch stat. I'm kind of curious about this Brock Osweiler stat for people drafting him, where they're drafting him.
Well, people are having a lot of faith in him working well for Houston.
His average ADP, according to this, is 120. As Dak Prescott goes. Interesting. How do you... okay, Cowboys fans. Is Prescott worth it? And no, you can't have Osweiler. He just went.
Dreams broken.
Yeah.
Prescott is very up in the air. You just don't know. There's only preseason to speak for, so it's very difficult yes, the way he played, the fact that he had some of the best stats in the preseason is nice, but I don't know.
And, apparently Malcolm Mitchell might even be back for week 1. So, go ahead, Gary. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. He was just asking about Prescott, and it's hard for me to be on the. I love him to death. He was one of my favorite quarterbacks out of college last year. But I'm not ready to jump on that train and say he's going to do it in the NFL right away.
That's a fair statement. Yeah, it's hard to gauge on Prescott. I think a lot of what he showed in the preseason, that's certainly talent. He's placing the ball in the right places. That doesn't matter about the defense or whoever's playing you. You're throwing the ball correctly. It's going where it needs to go. That's just Dak Prescott being really good. But even though we have the great offensive line, is he going to be affected by the pressure? Or is he going to be affected by, what if he does get a bunch of guys in his face? Is he going to be able to deal with that? But the team, at least, is there to help him. So having him as a backup, not a bad thing.
I really am surprised a youngster like Kevin White still not off the board.
Ooh, who should I pick here? Is Willis McGahee out there still? I'm looking for him.
I think Sean Hill's still available.
Sean? Oh, yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, you can go down that hole.
If I can't get... Let's see here. I think I'll just go with something... that could be good, could be great.
You know, Randy's favorite guy, Ryan Fitzpatrick's out there.
Oh, man. Tannehill out there?
Yes.
Yeah, he's out there as well.
Ooh, Texas A&M quarterbacks. Not going that way. I'm going this way.
No, the old Kenneth Dixon. All right,
I'm going.
Since, yeah, I mean it's a stash pick for Gary.
Yes, stash.
And this is also going to be a stash pick because I am not high on Ezekiel Elliott, as is well noted. I am still worried about that hamstring a little bit. And I like that offensive line in Dallas, so I'm going to take the backup, who I think, if given time, is going to be great. So give me Alfred Morris here late.
Smart man.
I was looking for him. I couldn't find him. I was like, did Gary take him? Because like in every draft I've been in, Gary takes him. So
I wanted to be different, but yes, man, that is a great choice. And in fact, we don't know how much Ezekiel Elliott's going to get the ball immediately. He hasn't played a lot of preseason, so Alfred Morris is going to be used a lot still. And of course, injury concerns still there.
And I'm going to ensure my Jared Cook pick just in case he doesn't produce. And I'm going to take another tight end that I feel pretty good about in that second tier, and that's Zach Miller.
Yeah, I like Zach Miller a lot too.
So you got one bench spot left. Let's see. I can't take him. Well, I'm going to go for a guy that I think is finally ready to hit that breakout mark in Detroit. I'm going to go with Eric Ebron.
Yeah, I couldn't take him because I already had Stafford and Tate.
Fair enough. Yeah,
what are you thinking, Robert? Did we lose Robert?
I'm here.
He's a Ravens fan. It takes a minute.
You
Buffering.
You're getting a good laugh from my wife in the background. If you guys hadn't already picked it up.
Is there a little circle? Is there a little circle above his head that's spinning around?
Oh man!
Well, Randy, I'm gonna take a shot with him, and I'm gonna go Kevin White.
That's definitely not a bad pick.
No, especially not in the late of the 13th round.
Oh man! Rashad Matthews, good pick as well. He could become a good receiver there for the Titans. There goes Tyler Eifert finally to the auto picker.
Mm-hmm. As we get ready to come around to our final two picks, it looks like, I'm just looking around, Sean and Mike and Gary have all set themselves up pretty well to go defense kicker here, the last two.
Yeah, sometimes I'll take defense one pick of four, but this time I was just like, Still got some good ones out there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, defenses you can wait on. It was just, when I took mine, it was just I can't decide, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it. But there are some very good defenses to wait on, and that's what Mike and I have said all along, is you can wait on defenses this year.
So, Robert
Matt Ryan
Cooper is pairing Matt Ryan with Ben Roethlisberger for him, so not too bad a duo, I guess.
We'll see. I'm not really high on Matt Ryan after his performance at the second half of last season, but he does have Julio Jones.
Yeah, I can't deny that.
And it is a backup to Roethlisberger, but I'm also one of the harder critics on Roethlisberger too. So,
well, I mean, I would hope so. That's your team. Gotta be hard on the man.
Well, you're either hard on your team or you're just all jacked up about them and they're the best players in the world.
And now he's going to the wire here to.
Well, he's probably already got Melvin Sanu. That's a good pick. I like that pick.
So he's going with the double Falcon here.
Mohamed Sanu is definitely a guy that Randy and I had talked about during the fantasy football podcast.
Yeah.
There's Philip Dorsett going to the auto picker. There's Steelers defense, so that's gone. And the kicker going in this round here to see how he took Kansas City's defense. He could have waited on the round, but chose not to. Ah, man, this is hard, but I'm gonna go with.
Thank you.
Ooh, leaving the Cincinnati defense. They drop a lot, and I'm surprised that Cincinnati does that. I need my backup quarterback here. Somebody,
By the way, we're talking about New England and Cincinnati just came off.
Yeah, New England defense.
I need my backup quarterback, and I like Kirk Cousins a lot, so I'm going to go with the gamble pick here, and I am going with Mr. Junk Time himself, Robert Griffin III.
Yeah, I knew that was going to come eventually. When you said you were going to wait on quarterback.
All right, Gary, you got a defense in mind here?
Before he hits his defense, I just want to. I don't know how many times in drafts this year I've went Cousins and Griffin as my quarterbacks. I am all in on those two. All right, Gary, what defense are you looking at?
Oh man, this is going to be interesting because I look at Los Angeles. Of course, I'm a big Fish fan. Oakland's very interesting. They have potential there. Green Bay is really intriguing to me. I think they're going to get plenty of interceptions this year, especially since they faced Minnesota twice with Sam Bradford. I'm going to take a gamble. I'm going to take a big gamble here. And I am going to go with Gary Anderson. Who does he play for? Oh.
I think yours is pretty good too, Randy. And they're getting undervalued also. The one that you just said.
Mm-hmm.
They are getting
undervalued. I can't believe the Jets are that low.
Yeah. Well, they're not really that low. I think that the rankings here are kind of funny. If you look at where it says rank, they're actually the best of the rest based on just where it says rank. And I'm not sure what the difference between, I guess it's league settings, but it's a little odd. I mean, people are high on Oakland's defense, but they haven't proven it on the field yet. Same with Buffalo. Buffalo wasn't that good last year. They were hyped, but they weren't that good. And the Rams' defense is pretty good, but man, that defense is going to be on the field a lot.
Ooh, Fitzpatrick gets drafted. That's a rare sight in a lot of drafts that I've seen. I'm biased, so what do you guys think of Fitzpatrick this year?
Well, I think Daniel started auto-picking because he had to go back to work, so technically that was an auto-pick.
I kind of look at Fitzpatrick as like the Alex Smith with a little bit more higher ceiling and a lower floor. He's pretty consistent, and he can probably put up some better numbers than Alex Smith, but he can also bottom out a little bit lower than Alex Smith.
Yeah, Anthony's already pumped about Carson Wentz starting on Sunday, so I bet he will. I bet he even starts Carson Wentz in this league.
Well, his two quarterbacks in this league are Carson Wentz and Brock Osweiler. So,
oh boy,
do we need another moment of silence for the Ants?
Yes, maybe we do. Just Alfred Blue. We're getting that bad. We're drafting Alfred Blue at this point.
Well, he gets
again,
one more
it's
pick.
On the Ants, so. Come on, Ants. Go for the backup kicker. Go for the backup kicker, Ants.
I'm wondering if the Ants has the 2015 pre-draft magazine that he's using this year.
Maybe.
Ow.
Is this the Sporting News magazine circa August 2015?
He could. You never know. He does live over there in New Jersey, Philly area, so they might.
Is there a large Amish community there?
I don't know.
Yes, there is. Honestly, Philly is a big Amish. Well, around Philly, yeah.
No offense to the Amish people, but maybe he doesn't have as much access to current information.
Victor Cruz could wind up being a steal down there.
Is it bad if I say?
I was going to say it kind of fits in with the 2015 magazine comments.
Yeah,
I like Cruz, but
is it bad if I say that might be the pick I like the best out of his last 10? I don't know. I mean, at least for potential.
Tajay Sharp in the last round. I like that pick.
I had him queued up.
I feel like I've got to stay way clear of Blair Walsh. Since he likes to miss very easy kicks.
It was negative 39 degrees. Give him a break.
You got to take a sneeze
he
sometimes.
He still missed kicks in the preseason.
Hashka. Oh, man, sorry about that. Excuse me.
Oh, were you... Okay. See how it is. You were telling me to hush for that.
No, I said Hashka.
As we await Gary's final pick of a kicker, I'd imagine. Unless he wants to be one of those just doing the rent-a-kicker every week. That's also a strategy, by the way. If you don't want to waste a pick on a kicker, you can do the rent-a-kicker every week.
But you have to clear a roster spot.
Yeah, so...
Sometimes it's hard to decide who that person would be, unless you're the Ants.
Yeah, that's it. Well, Gary's having a tough time with this here. Or he's just making us wait. One of the two.
Probably.
I have another player.
Yeah, just make sure you don't draft Robbie Gould. He is teamless right now.
Oh. I thought I already picked my player.
He got dropped.
No, you're about to get auto-kickered here in 2 seconds.
That's fine.
Blair Walsh!
And the funny thing is, that was the guy I was going to go for because they have Sam Bradford on that team. They're not scoring touchdowns. Lots of field goals in Minnesota.
I didn't realize I put my...
I really want Sam Bradford to just go stick it to Randy so bad so he can shut up about... Oh, man.
Yeah, shut up. First-round pick for a rent-a-player.
Hey,
worst trade I've ever seen.
There's been worse than that. I don't think...
Chris Boswell, good pick. I'll take that guy.
I've just gotten a text. Will you allow uneven trades in this league?
Is there a veto rule?
Well,
I'm guessing he means 3 for 2, which basically means one of them is going to have to drop somebody.
Well, I don't mind if... as long as it's a fair 3 for 2 or something.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I'm going to go with the Kansas City kicker because he usually has a lot of field goals.
Randy, how do you feel about feeling the need to trade right after your draft?
It's not a good sign. I had that in a 14-team league that I drafted where I made back-to-back picks and instantly hated it. It's not a good confidence level when it's like you get done and go, uh-oh. Things did not
I think he just really wants Ezekiel Elliott. So he's, obsessed with trying to do anything he can to get him. Oh, and we do have, I don't know if Randall drafted a kicker already or not, but I know Robert Cooper did at the end, so he might actually have a real pick to talk about.
I was kind of hoping this league would be 16 because there's at least one more guy out there that I would really like to have on my team, but...
And who's that?
He is not eligible to be picked up at this point. Well, I guess I might as well say it. I mean, the point of this is to give some insight, but a guy that I thought, in a 16 round, I would have taken a flyer on him late, and that's Jordan Howard behind Jeremy Langford, because I don't know that Jeremy Langford's going to be the starter there for the entire season.
Yeah,
you got Carey there as well. So.
Yeah, I had Howard highlighted on my list, but he was far down there. Kenneth Dixon beat him out.
Which is fair. I mean, Kenneth Dixon might have more potential, but if Jordan Howard gets a hold of that running spot there. He might not give it back.
Mm-hmm.
And there goes the Raiders defense, finally. Surprised nobody took them earlier. And we got Robert making this last important pick as Blaine Gabbert has been named the starter officially for the 49ers, so Colin Kaepernick going to have to sit some more.
Well, that's good, because now he'll never have to get up.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the trade. Steve Smith and Eric Decker for Ezekiel Elliott.
No.
No. Just Gary's going to say no?
Well, I'm kind of thinking about it. I mean, Eric Decker, I think, is a solid wide receiver 2. I think Steve Smith is a potential wide receiver 3, maybe 4, depending. So I guess you have to decide running back 1 for a wide receiver 2 and 3.
Yeah, I think you got to go with a home run hitter. You got to have a solid number 1. And I get it. Yes, you want to trade 2 things, but I mean, Ezekiel Elliott, top of the board when it comes to running backs. Unless you're offering Antonio Brown for Ezekiel Elliott, you better come up with some better.
And Mr. Irrelevant is the Buffalo defense. Not even a player. So
the final pick.
I don't need you to tell me about my team, Yahoo. Thank you. I do appreciate they have these little video things before and after the draft, but I don't need you to tell me about my team right now. So let's do a quick evaluate your team before we get out of here. I guess Gary, since you had the first pick out of all of us here, what do you think about your team looking at it?
You know, looking at this, Yahoo already told me I dominated. So, I mean, that's all I got to tell you guys. So, but at the end of the day, I look at it and I say, you know, I got a quarterback that is older in Drew Brees, who I think has potential to be really good, like always, but I do fear for him being injured. That's why Blake Bortles is a solid backup, if you ask me personally. I think it is going to help me a ton. My running back situation is a little bit different. You know, I wasn't sure what I was going to go with. You know, of course, I already had Todd Gurley drafted for me. Thank you, Sean. So I think, you know, Eddie Lacy's going to be a nice second guy to kind of help me push me over the hump in the running back core there. Receiver wise, I mean, I feel like I got some pretty decent guys. DeAndre Hopkins, I feel like, you know, could be kind of down this year. So I just fear with the Brock Osweiler train coming through. So saying that, I mean, I feel like that could be a up or down thing. I kind of went at light at receiver this time. Tight end wise, though, I think I have Walker here. I love, you know, everything he provides for me. And of course, you know, I feel like my backups are pretty good. Kent Dixon was a guy that I really liked, and I hope he comes back from that injury. And if nothing else, I have a keeper league. He may come back strong at the end of the year and do something for me. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I think I got a solid team here.
I like your team, to be honest with you. I like Drew Brees. I think Drew Brees is one of the most consistent fantasy league players in all of, you know, fantasy for a long time. And you can't go wrong with a Drew Brees. You know, he's certainly somebody that I would love to have on my team too. And I think having Blake Bortles as a backup is definitely solid. And then, you know, with Gurley and Lacy, you should get some really good production there. And Latavius Murray, we'll see what happens, but he's not terrible as a flex and a third guy. And Christine Michael and Kenneth Dixon both have the chance to take over as their starters at that spot. And I think Hopkins is still going to be solid no matter what. I love John Brown, and I know that we've talked about that in our fantasy podcast. I'm a big fan of John Brown. And then you went with a little bit of depth there with Benjamin, you know, who will be starting with a team that's going to be trailing a lot. Same thing with Corey Coleman, another team that's going to be trailing. And then you took a flyer on a Chris Hogan, who could end up breaking out and being the number 2 guy in one of the best offenses perennially in the New England Patriots. So, yeah, I like your team.
Yeah, the one thing I noticed about Gary's team that I like a lot is he has 2 solid running backs in Gurley and Lacy, And if for any reason one of them goes down to injury, he has used his bench wisely with a Michael and a Dixon as far as like guys that he could get really late that later on in the season could really break out. So he's kind of hinging his bets a little bit. So if they stay healthy and they don't break out, totally fine. If one of them gets hurt, he just needs one of those running backs to break out, and he's still really solid at that position. He has a lot of depth at wide receiver, has that great backup in Bortles, as you said, Mike. So I'm liking Gary's team.
Who's next? Who are we gonna? Yeah, Randy, you want to evaluate yours?
Yeah, I'll evaluate mine. I kept Julio Jones and Allen Robinson, so I was already pretty set at the receiver position. The Cousins RG3 combo at quarterback is risky, but I'm very high on Cousins, so I have no problem there. I'm a little worried at running back. CJ Anderson is not a high pick for me. I am higher on Jeremy Hill than most, but getting the Jacksonville running game is okay. The gamble of Arian Foster would be very interesting. But all in all, I like the depth of my team, especially at wide receiver. I think I have a few trade baits there just in case things kind of go awry. But I think I have some midseason moves I'm going to have to make this a championship team. But I think it's safe for the most part, other than maybe the quarterback position is a bit of a gamble.
I think Kirk Cousins will probably be he's one of those guys that's near the top of that second tier, and Robert Griffin III might pan out for you, although there's a reasonable chance that you're going to have Kirk Cousins as your quarterback for the entire season if Robert Griffin doesn't pan out. I love your wide receivers. I mean, Julio Jones and Allen Robinson, you can't possibly go wrong there. That is stacked, at least at the starting position, and then your depth. And you did something that I did with my running backs, and you only went 4 deep at wide receiver with Sterling Shepard and Devin Funchess behind them because you have such good wide receivers. And that's what I did, the same sort of thing, but just with another position. And I agree about your running backs. There's a little bit of question marks there with the C.J. Anderson and a Jeremy Hill. But you do have Ivory and Yeldon, so you have Jacksonville. If one of those guys goes down, you know that the other one's going to be the starter. And if something happens with Elliott, you got Morris behind him. And then, of course, the wild card is Arian Foster. How long does he stay? If Arian Foster gives you 13, 12 games, that's definitely a worthwhile pick there. So, yeah, I think you got a lot of potential there.
All right, Mike, what about your team?
My team. Just a second here while I click to my team. Well, at quarterback, I kind of went with the 1-2 punch of Matthew Stafford and Derek Carr because I did end up waiting with a lot of keepers already being gone at the quarterback position. I chose Stafford and Carr as kind of, mix and match based on matchups. So I may have sold out just a tiny bit at quarterback, but I also like my receivers. Antonio Brown, I think, is the best receiver in the league, and Golden Tate behind him. And then Jordan Matthews and Deshaun Jackson, I think, are 2 quality guys behind them. And then at running back, I've got Lamar Miller, Mark Ingram, Frank Gore, and Carlos Hyde. So I feel pretty strong about those guys too. And then I did stash a Devontae Parker, but I think my running backs are really solid. I like all 4 of them actually, and I think all 4 of them could be potential starters for just about anybody's team. And then at tight end, I took a flyer on a Jared Cook in Green Bay, and then Zach Miller behind him, just in case that didn't work out. So I like my team.
So apparently Anthony and Chris have agreed to this. They had already agreed to this trade during the draft. So, what do you guys think of that? Steve Smith and Decker for Elliott.
I've already let my opinion be known. I don't really see it as a fair trade, but hey, the other guy decided he wanted weaker players. That's fine.
What do you guys think?
What are the teams involved?
Ants and pencil closer person.
Yeah. Ants just wants a worse team. I think I don't get it.
Yeah. If Ezekiel Elliott's, a guy that even if you don't like the Dallas Cowboys, trade him to somebody who is just high on the guy. Get a really good player. I mean, like I said, unless you're trading Ezeke for top guy.
Look at Chris's team and see if.
And Chris was
the pencil closer.
Yeah, well, I can see why he wants a running back.
But does he have somebody that you'd think is more fair?
It would have to be in place of Steve Smith. I think Decker is pretty fair as he stands.
Well, it's Decker and Smith. So.
Right. But, I mean, like another guy like in the Decker category, I guess, or in that
there?
tier. Well, I'm trying to see if there is.
He's got Rodgers and ODB. I don't think that.
Yeah, Bryant and Des Bryant.
Yeah. Oh, Des Bryant.
The thing that I find a little bit unfair about it is the fact that he only drafted 2 running backs. And by trading away 2 of these wide receivers, then it just kind of gets him off the hook a little bit for doing something completely crazy.
But this trade, as Sean said, this trade was agreed between the two during the draft. So I think he went in going, okay, I have Elliott also, so I can bolster other positions. I don't think it's the most unfair trade. Like, obviously, I think Chris getting Elliott helps his team more than the other two going to the Ants team. But I don't think it's an unfair trade.
Yeah, I kind of am going to. I think it is a little bit unfair, but I don't think it's unfair enough to be able to veto it. I mean, it's a great trade for Chris, in my opinion. That's an outstanding trade because you're trading away 2 wide receivers that aren't going to start for you when you already have ODB and Des Bryant.
So yeah, I mean, he sort of did the draft pick trade.
Right.
I guess.
So it's fair. I think Randy brings up a good point. Is he kind of built his draft with having Elliott on his team already in mind. The only thing is nobody else really got a chance to make other offers for Elliott before there was already a decision made.
But I mean, that's going to happen with trades. And here's a better way to just blanket look at it this way. Elliott went in the 3rd round in this draft because of the first 2 keepers. So you have a 1st round pick in the 3rd round for a 4th round and an 8th round pick. It's not terrible.
Yeah, my only argument is throw in Landry instead of Smith, and we got a better deal.
I mean, look, Steve Smith was pretty great last year before he got hurt. Do we know if he's going to get up to that potential again? We don't know. Is he going to be bad? I don't think he's going to be bad either.
No, but you have better proof with Landry.
Yeah, I think we should allow it just based on the fact that he may have constructed his draft considering it a done deal already.
I would never go against it because these guys agreed to it. So you dig your own grave. But I'm just saying, if it's anybody's listening who has a similar trade like this, I just want them to understand that this is not really a trade you want to make.
Well, and it's not like we're playing for money here either. So, I mean, if it was completely ridiculous, like straight up Elliott for Steve Smith or something, I would automatically say no. But at least there's 2 potentially decent guys there, I guess. So yeah. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that we're not all in the same draft room together when this draft came up, so nobody else had a chance to hear or make an offer. That's what I meant by the whole trade thing and how it wasn't fair for all of us to not be able to hear him say, "Hey, I'm going to give this up," and him have a chance to hear what people would be willing to give up. So
yeah.
But personally, I'd say no to a veto.
All right, so we got that settled. Now Chris is like, I want to listen to the podcast, so it's like, well, we're about to end, so I'll send you the link when we're done.
All right, well, back to my team real quick. I think I went over my team. I guess you guys can review it real quick if you want. The Slay City Slayers. By the way, the Slay City Slayers is a team. Does anybody know where that name is from?
No, I was wondering what that was for.
There's a game called Mutant League Football.
Yeah, I love
yes.
The Slay City Slayers were basically the Steelers version of a team on Mutant League football, and that's why I chose the Slay City Slayers.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, Gary or Randy, input?
You're one of the more balanced teams, I think, in this draft. I'm high on Stafford as you are, and getting a Carr who I think kind of went under the radar a bit was a nice move. Obviously, Antonio Brown and Lamar Miller getting put on your team. I love both of those. Those are two picks that I would probably take in like the top 7 or 8 of a draft, so that works really well. And you've kind of just balanced it out well with a Golden Tate. I'm not high on Mark Ingram. I know you are, but you kind of filled that out with Hyde. I love Frank Gore, so I think you're fine at the running back position. And again, Deshaun Jackson, Jordan Matthews, your bench is very deep as well. So I can't see anything that I disagree with.
Devontae Parker's hiding down in there too.
Yes.
Yeah, a great potential guy for sure. And I love Golden Tate as well. To me, he's a guy that's going to be flying under the radar a lot. I'm thinking of a lot about him as well. And of course, Derek Carr. You guys were talking about him. I'm very high on Derek Carr. I think a lot of him. I would probably say he'll probably be beat out what Stafford does.
That's very possible. I mean, that's why I have them both there. Pick my matchups.
Very true.
Sean, what about your team?
Well, what do you guys think about my team? Sorry, I'm having to do like 3 things at once here.
Something weird just happened here.
Yeah, I got rid of their draft thing, so I have to load it up on the
site.
It ran out of time.
Sean's the Elm Street, right? Elm Street Screamers.
Yeah.
All right, Phillip Rivers. I love Phillip Rivers. He's got a lot of potential scoring. Junk time touchdowns, like we talked about. The fact that they'll be playing from behind quite a bit. So I love Phillip Rivers. You got a pretty solid situation there. Brandon Marshall is a guy I'm really curious to see what happens. You got Austin Jeffrey as well. So these two guys could be up there and doing a lot of great things. Jeffrey is the only guy we worry about is injuries, but if he stays healthy, I think he's a great pick. Adrian Peterson, they're going to need to run the ball in Minnesota because they got Sam Bradford. They may not want him to throw too many times if they get a chance to really see him in games. So I think that's a great choice. And Jamal Charles is awesome if he can stay healthy as well. So, some good picks there. Olsen, Greg Olsen is just an excellent tight end. I love him to death. And then, of course, you added some other guys like Kevin Benjamin. I love him too. Once again, coming back for an injury. Matt Jones, I get why you picked him, just because, hey, he's starting at least, even if you don't get high on him. Duke Johnson, kind of similar. So I think you got some pretty solid players here. It's going to be a lot of switching around during the year. But the one favorite guy that I really love that you got here is Jameis Winston. Running, passing, this guy is going to make some things happen during the season.
Sean, basically, I think to sum up your team, you need to change your team name to If Healthy Will Be Good. Because you basically have filled this team up with a lot of people who have a very high upside, but a lot of injury history with the Benjamin and Jeffrey and Charles, and Peterson can get hurt too from time to time. So a lot of people that are like, if they can stay healthy, you have a stacked lineup. But very quickly, this whole team could implode on top of you as well. I do like Rivers for the junk time, and he has some good weapons around there too. Winston as well, if he does take that step forward, I like that a lot. A few interesting picks there with running backs. See if they take that next step with the Duke Johnson and a Jay Ajayi. But if this team stays healthy, it's going to be in the mix for sure.
Yeah, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth as far as I was going to say Sean's team is kind of boom or bust. It's got the potential to just completely blow up if these guys do stay on the field, if Alshon Jeffrey stays on the field, if Jamal Charles stays on the field, if Kelvin Benjamin stays on the field. All 3 of those guys have potential to be obviously stars. We've seen it with Jeffrey and Charles when they've played. Kelvin Benjamin's had one season, so we'll kind of see there. But yeah, there is certainly some injury risk. But I think having Rivers and Winston is pretty solid, and you kind of went along with our own theory as far as picking two of those second/third tier quarterbacks and just kind of playing the matchups there. And if Jamal Charles stays healthy, I think your running backs are fine with Adrian Peterson there. You don't necessarily have a lot of depth. You've got a Duke Johnson that's kind of sharing time. So we'll see. Randy and I have talked about him for 2 years now of taking that next step and kind of seizing more control of that backfield. So we'll see if that happens. And then, you have Ajayi. So when Foster goes down in week 4, then Randy can tell you how much he hates you. So at least you've got that going. And obviously Greg Olsen is a perennial powerhouse at tight end. So you're good there. And Brandon Marshall's pretty consistent. And I think it was Marvin Jones. It wasn't Matt Jones, but I like Marvin Jones for some depth at the wide receiver, and Michael Thomas is one of those sneaky guys there, and he's kind of fighting with a Snead for some targets there, but he definitely has some sneaky upside.
Yeah, I definitely like what I saw to Michael Thomas in preseason, and he should definitely get some catches and stuff that maybe had he not been so highly touted, he wouldn't have. I really hope that he could definitely be Marcus Colston version 2 for them, and we know how much that worked out for Drew Brees the first time around. So I'm sort of excited to see if that happens, because then you got a good flex guy. I'm a little worried about what you guys said. I think once I did the Charles pick, I sort of said to myself, well, I'm gonna go for this, and if they work out, great. If they don't, then I kind of screwed myself. But hoping that you get what you normally get from, or what you expect from a Kelvin Benjamin and a Jamal Charles and that sort. So yeah, that's been our Fantasy Football Live Draft podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you. We do have another. Both these guys have shows. Randy and Mike, I think, are doing another Fantasy Football to the Max show here as soon as we're done, and then we have a Football to the Max show. We finally get to reveal our preseason power rankings and also our playoff picks. We have not done those yet, so we're doing our playoff predictions on that show as well, as we get you geared up for the first game of the season that matters on Thursday.
That's right.
I guess we'll do our predictions for that as well.
Is there anything exciting going on tomorrow, Sean, that maybe we wanted to mention?
I don't know, because there's things that did not get to quite work out that perhaps may have to delay it maybe a day or two.
Okay,
but for sure.
Sounds great. And by the way, just to mention, you said Randy and I were doing a podcast. Gary is also going to be a part of this podcast we have coming up here shortly. So it will be the Three Amigos coming at you guys for your listening pleasure.
Well, you're definitely going to want to listen to that. You're going to get some knowledge dropped on you between the three of them, if you haven't gotten enough already on this thing. Just make sure you subscribe to that W2M network. We should hopefully, by the time we're having another podcast here on the round of Thursday, Friday shows, be able to announce a big thing that I'm sure you probably heard trickled through some of the podcasts, as we've sort of mentioned it and sort of not mentioned it. But we'll be able to give you sort of a big breakdown of everything by then. But yeah, man, if football season can't be closer enough, college football week 1 already happened. This is a great time to be a football fan for sure. And alrighty, well, we'll see you later, everybody.